you will have somewhere between 60 and 80,000 thoughts today. That number alone sounds impressive, almost flattering, like proof of a mind constantly working, constantly alive. But here's what almost nobody tells you. Researchers studying cognitive patterns have found that roughly 80% of those thoughts are negative. Not neutral, not balanced, negative, self-criticism, worry, replaying conversations that already ended, imagining disasters that haven't happened, quietly rehearsing your own inadequacy over and over thousands of times a day without you ever consciously choosing a single one of them. And the most disturbing part isn't the number. It's that your brain built this pattern on purpose, and it has absolutely no intention of stopping. To understand why this happened, you have to go back a few 100,000 years. Picture an early human standing at the edge of a forest. Behind them, safety. Ahead of them, uncertainty. Maybe food, maybe a predator, maybe nothing at all. The humans who survived weren't the optimists. They were the paranoid ones. The ones who assumed the rustling in the bushes was a threat, not the wind. The ones who remembered every danger in painful detail so they'd never walk into it again. The ones whose minds defaulted to worst-case scenarios as a built-in survival strategy. Evolution didn't reward calm minds. It rewarded anxious ones. And here's the problem. That ancient survival software is still running right now in your skull. In a world that no longer has predators hiding in the bushes, but your brain doesn't know that. So it keeps scanning, keeps predicting danger, keeps generating negative thoughts on a loop, because for hundreds of thousands of years, that loop is what kept your ancestors alive long enough to have you. You inherited a mind built for survival, not for peace. Psychologists have a name for this tendency. They call it the negativity bias. The brain's tendency to register, store, and replay negative experiences far more intensely than positive ones. Studies have shown that it takes approximately 5 positive experiences to emotionally outweigh a single negative one, 5 compliments to undo 1 criticism, 5 good moments to balance 1 bad memory. The math is brutal, and it's not a flaw, it's the design. But then something strange happened when researchers started measuring this in the modern world. They found that the negativity bias, a mechanism built to protect humans from physical danger, had quietly attached itself to something evolution never anticipated. Not lions, not famine, not enemy tribes. Social judgment. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a predator and a text message that says, "We need to talk." It cannot tell the difference between a physical threat and the silence after you said something awkward in a meeting. The same ancient circuitry that once scanned the tree line for danger now scans your social world relentlessly, exhaustingly, for signs of rejection, failure, or judgment. And because that circuitry evolved to keep you alive, not happy, it doesn't care how it makes you feel in the process. It will wake you up at 2 a.m. replaying a conversation from 6 years ago. It will manufacture catastrophic scenarios about a job interview that hasn't happened yet. It will quietly tell you thousands of times a day that you are not enough. And it will do this not because it's broke, but because on some primal level, it believes this is how it's keeping you safe. This is where everything changes. Because once you understand that your inner critic isn't malfunctioning, it's functioning exactly as designed, the entire relationship you have with your own mind starts to look different. But that wasn't the worst part, because negativity bias alone doesn't fully explain what's happening to people right now. Something else has entered the picture, something evolution never had time to prepare for: the modern information environment. For most of human history, the average person encountered a handful of real threats, real social judgments, real dangers in an entire lifetime. Today, the average person scrolls past hundreds of curated images of other people's success, other people's bodies, other people's seemingly perfect lives every single day, each one silently triggering the same ancient threat detection system that once watched for predators. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a real rival and a stranger's filtered photo. It registers both as social threat data. And this is the part almost nobody talks about. Every scroll, every comparison, every algorithm-fed glimpse into a stranger's highlight reel is quietly feeding the most ancient, most paranoid part of your brain. An endless stream of evidence that you are falling behind in a competition you didn't know you were entered into. 80,000 thoughts a day, 80% negative. And now an infinite scroll specifically engineered to keep that number climbing. Here's where the psychology gets even more unsettling, because your brain doesn't just generate these negative thoughts. It builds an entire internal narrator around them, a voice, a perspective, something that feels with total conviction like the truth. That voice tells you who you are, what you're capable of, what you deserve. And because it speaks in first person, because it sounds exactly like your voice, using your memories, dressed in your logic, you almost never question. You assume it's wisdom. It isn't. It's an evolutionary alarm system running outdated software, dressed up as your own sense of self. And the people who suffer most from anxiety, depression, and chronic self-criticism aren't the people with broken brains. They're the people whose ancient threat detection system never got the memo that the forest is gone. So here's the moment to pull back, because this isn't really a story about negativity bias. It's not really about evolution or social media or 80,000 thoughts. This is a story about the gap between who built your mind and who has to live inside it. Your brain was engineered by natural selection for one job only: keep the organism alive long enough to reproduce. It was never designed for satisfaction, never designed for contentment, never designed to make you feel, even for a moment, that you are safe and enough exactly as you are. That was never the goal. Survival was the goal. And survival, brutally, doesn't require happiness. It only requires vigilance, which means the voice in your head telling you that you're falling behind, that you're not doing enough, that something is wrong with you. That voice was never trying to hurt you. It was trying to protect a version of you that doesn't exist anymore. A version standing at the edge of a forest, scanning for danger that simply isn't there. Here is what almost no one tells you about your own mind. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness underneath them. The quiet observer who has been listening to this ancient alarm system fire again and again, for your entire life without ever fully believing every word it says. The 80% isn't a measure of who you are. It's a measure of how old, how outdated, and how mismatched your inherited survival software has become for the world you're actually living in. You didn't choose this wiring, but you get to choose how much authority you give it. Tonight, when that familiar voice starts its quiet inventory of everything wrong with you, of every way you're falling short, remember where it came from. It's not prophecy. It's an alarm built for a forest that no longer exists. And you, the one listening, the one capable of noticing the noise instead of becoming it, you were never the danger it was looking for.